I'd like to call up Victor Bishop and Mike Cero.
Well, thank you. Good afternoon, Madam Chair, and to the committee members, thank you for the service that you give, the time that you give to the state and the country. My name is Mike Cero. I'm representing an organization, Save I-90. I'd first like to thank you for addressing the unique Mercer Island access issues onto I-90. But the reason I'm here is to address a larger issue, a more comprehensive issue with the I-90 bridge over Lake Washington. As you know, in probably about 55 days, WashDOT will begin reconfiguring or restriping the outside lanes of I-90, and in 65 short days, Sound Transit, WashDOT will close down the center lane. At least that's the plan. I'm here to ask that we delay that closure, continue with the R8A reconfiguration. The R8A reconfiguration is taking the present existing 3 12-foot lanes and converting those to 4 11-foot lanes. And I'm asking that we delay the closure of the center lane. And this is not a far-fetched idea. The original R8A EIS was to do just that. That is to open up the 4 lanes on the outside and keep the center lane open for the present type of traffic it has now. I'm concerned about the safety implications of this. Throughout this whole I-90 East Link Sound Transit WashDOT discussion, you'll talk often about the safety issues of the construction of the train going over the bridge. There's also the safety issue that I'd like to talk about, and that's the safety issue of the reconfiguration, i.e., again, 3 12-foot lanes to 4 11-foot lanes. We can anticipate problems on that. And the reason we say that is because of the bridge across the Ohio River that services I-71 and I-75, and that's the Brent Spence Bridge. That bridge also underwent a conversion from 3 12-foot lanes to 4 11-foot lanes, just like we're going to experience on I-90. And what they found was that immediately became a functionally obsolete bridge. In the interstate system, there are only 15 functionally obsolete bridges. I'm afraid what's going to happen with the R8A I-90 reconfiguration is that will become the 16th functionally obsolete bridge in our interstate system. And as a result, that will become top on priority or very high priority for additional funds to make that right. We also know that the Brent Spence Bridge, after undergoing that reconfiguration, experienced a very high rate of accidents. So much so that in the Kentucky, Indiana, Ohio interstate system, they experience about 3 or 4 accidents per mile per year. The Brent Spence Bridge, after the reconfiguration, experiences 22, just for frame of reference. My request is that you keep the center lane open for 1 or 2 years so that you, the leaders of the state, have an outlet in the event the R8A reconfiguration doesn't work, that it also becomes functionally obsolete, that you can explore what to do and you have a relief valve, if you will, of the center lanes. Handed out to the staff was a suggestion for a proviso to accommodate that request. Again, thank you for your time and the energies you give to the state.
Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair and Ranking Member Olcott. My name is Victor Bishop, and I represent the Eastside Transportation Association, that's ETA. And for this committee, Eastside in this case means East King County, not Eastern Washington. I'm here to support the idea of delaying the closure of the I-90 Center roadway for a period of time so that several things can be accomplished. and a review of the safety issues that Mr. Cero talked about is one of those. Just for a little background, the term R8A might be a little confusing to some people. That is the EIS designation of the alternative that was selected by the cities, the state, and the Federal Highway Administration through the record of decision to manage the I-90 bridge across. That's what R8A means. And what it does is add a fourth lane to each of the outer roadways, and what the R8A proposal before Sound Transit came along was to continue to operate the center roadway as a high occupancy transit and carpool lane. So it would have been 10 lanes, and the whole environmental process was set up, and the record of decision at the federal level was identified as a 10-lane corridor from Bellevue to Seattle. Then comes along Sound Transit in 2008 with the SD2 vote, and they're going to take over the center roadway, and all of a sudden the idea of R8A, well, that'll become the mitigation for taking the center roadway. So the four issues that we're suggesting that you need to delay for a period of time, maybe as much as 2 years, as I understand a budget proviso might do, are listed in the language that we put out under A, B, C, and D. And A is the first one, and that's the value of the I-90 center lanes. The current airspace lease negotiated price is $257 million. Now, we're just building 520 for $4.6 billion, and 2 lanes, that's a 6-lane bridge, and you kind of divide it up, and, that gets into $1.5 billion range for 2 lanes going across Lake Washington from Seattle to Bellevue. $257 million doesn't seem reasonable. And why doesn't it? It's because it's only 15% of the value. The state of Washington gas tax only paid for 15% of the I-90 bridge. The federal government paid 85%, and the quote-unquote fair and full value of this asset that's worth in the billions comes out at 15% of whatever that is, and to 257. That is unreasonable, and that's taking money away from the assets of the state of Washington to give to the urban counties of King, Pierce, and Snohomish County. Item B is Sound Transit's never been able to explain why they need 6 years to put 6 miles of track on an existing bridge. They're closing it June 1st. Revenue service is 2023. That's 6 years out to lay tracks on a bridge that exists already. Why is that? Well, we can't get an answer. And we think that there's plenty of room in their schedule, and their revenue schedule and everything else is scheduled for 2023 opening, so it's 6 years out. So the idea that they can't wait a couple years is, in my mind, inappropriate. Third is the comprehensive review of all the things that have changed since the EIS was done 6 years ago. There's significant new information, one of which is just last Friday they announced, or Thursday they went to the board and increased the price of the contract to lay the tracks on the bridge from $490 million by an additional $215 million. 45% increase in the contract price to lay tracks on the bridge. Why? Because they said at the very last minute have said, oh, wait a minute, we need to strengthen this bridge. I think maybe we don't know what's going on how to build a bridge. They're going to do post-tensioning on the bridge. That's a $215 million exercise. And it just goes to the credibility of Sound Transit, who knew months, if not a year ago,
Vic,
they had this issue.
up?
Okay, the last issue is the independent safety review. So, that Mr. Cero talked about. So we've put this language together. We ask that you include this language in your, as a budget proviso in your budget proposal. Thank you.